All right, been mulling this over for a while, but hello everybody, Skyrain here, back with a little bit of a different video, yet it is very much video game adjacent and very much relevant, as you can see on the screen here. We're going to be talking about various topics here, and starting with this one because everything pretty much ties together on this right now. If you didn't already know, is another thing. If you do, then you know where this is going, but I do have some other topics that will weave into this, and you might not know. So hang in for the ride. Like I said, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I was kind of hesitant, but at the same time, it's something that's really been bothering me for a while with everything that's been going on, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But on the topic of video games and the video game space, this is what we're going over. The Stop Killing Games. This movement that was started a while ago is asking for signatures on petitions for mostly in the EU space, because over here in the States, unfortunately, we're in a whole nother ball of wax, and it's not much better, and honestly in a lot of ways it's a lot worse as far as how certain things can be moved around and so on and so forth. If you're in the States, you know what the score is. Every place has got their own little rules and what regulations and so on and so forth, which this one seems to be the best approach. And this is going to be a shout out to anybody in the EU or of these participating countries. Please get on this if you haven't already. I'll leave a link in the description and everything down below for all of this stuff, because there's going to be a lot of links here. You can peruse and read over everything in more detail at your leisure, whenever it's convenient, of course, for you to take part in this if you so choose. I'm just definitely putting this out there for anybody that might not know. This is what this whole scope is about, among various other things. All right, so let me just give you a good synopsis here. Let's see, here we go. I'll just put this on the screen here and read it really quickly. This is the wiki about what this whole movement is about here. A guide for better campaigning. Let's see. Most of the counter arguments can be debunked with the website FAQ and video FAQ. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of links here. Like I said, I'm going to put all of this stuff in the description of the video for this, so you can go over everything at your choosing. Let's see. Nobody has all the answers. Oh, no shame in having all the. Nobody has all the answers when it comes to the extremely detailed legal and technical arguments, and we do not have them either. Just to point out that this proposal is mainly meant to put the topic on the political agenda, and that the highly paid lawyers and engineers will figure out the details. Since the EU will ultimately decide what is going to happen. So this is definitely just to get the ball rolling, and this is something that should not be taken lightly, to say the least. This can't work, and this question says here, this is quite an easy one. The proposal from Stop Killing Games is exactly how the game industry has worked and flourished for decades in the past. We're basically just asking to have the same consumer rights again. What is this referring to? Basically everything in the digital world as we all know it, and we have known for quite a bit, when everything started to get away from physical copies. Part of that process was, of course, to lessen the carbon footprint on the earth and that kind of thing, so on and so forth. Well, that was the start of it, and that sounded nice and all, but the further and further we drift into the digital and virtual space, the further and further away a lot of companies are trying to make it now to where we buy things, but yet we don't actually own them anymore. And that has been going on for quite some time. It reared its ugly head. Let's go ahead and go on to this topic here. This ties in with it very well here. Forgive the brightness on the screen. Forgive your eyes. But this happened a couple years ago, back in 2022. This was when Sony, PlayStation Network and all that, they actually forgot, I think, or there was a lapse in some licensing agreements, or they just let them expire. Take your pick, or all the above. I think it was a little bit all the above, where they no longer had stopped offering movie and TV show purchases and rentals. This was it right here. We got Sony's PlayStation Group stopped offering movie and TV show purchases and rentals as of August 31st, 2021, citing the rise of streaming video services. At the time, Sony assured customers that they can still access movie and TV content they have purchased through the PlayStation Store for on-demand payback on their PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and mobile devices. Right. Yeah, that didn't last very long, unfortunately. And when Sony said that, it apparently forgot to add two very important words to the statement: for now. Instead, Sony decided to drop the bomb with yet another statement regarding Studio Canal content in Germany and Austria. Let's see. I'm not going to read that one out loud, but you get the idea. Yeah. Essentially amounts to, hey, you know what? The stuff that you bought is about to disappear. Okay, bye. That is exactly pretty much what happened here, and this is in the the digital space of the movies and so on and so forth, that front of entertainment. But as we're synergizing all this together, right? This is something that happened then, and it's still ongoing, and it still hasn't really changed all that well since. So this Stop Killing Games movement, of course, is very, very much simply around, here's a fact, I'll put this in the description as well, so you can go ahead and, frequently ask questions and start looking at all this stuff for yourselves. I'm not going to go over it and take too much more time in the video than necessary here. But hopefully, I'm trying to steer a lot of people to kind of, or at least open eyes and get more eyes out there. I know I'm a small channel on YouTube and all that, but this is, like I said, this is something I am very much, passionate of games, of course, and everything in that space. And of course, I am just another one trying to push this out further to anybody that might not be in the know, in the loop of what's going on. And if you're still along for the ride here, this petition that needs to be signed is, of course, only available to anybody in the EU countries. There's a selection bar, of course, for whatever country you may be in. So, again, sorry for us in the States that we cannot participate. I would more than be happy to, and I would have done so already, but we're kind of, hogtied in that regard, which is unfortunate. But, of course, the EU does have a way of moving things along. As we've seen in the past with how they were able to break down the gambling loot box fiasco that was some years ago, if we all remember that one, when it started to get a little out of control. They kind of were able to reel that in. So we're hoping to, along the lines, again, with just to get the ball rolling on this one. They need a million signatures on this, legitimate signatures, once the official count is going to happen at the end of this month in July 2025. At the end of the month is when this will be documented and taking all things into account. So please, 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 spread the word however ways you can. Of course, in today's, of course, social media and everything, that should be very, very easy. And if you haven't, again, like I said, in that same sense, seen this already yourselves, I'm just kind of reiterating all the points here and why this is very, very, very much important to everybody across the globe. Because we need to reel this digital, virtual stuff in just a tad, because it has spiraled out of control. And we need to be, have a lot more control over our, personal purchases when it comes to that, as far as like consumers go and that front. So, end user things of that nature. This is basically, again, also trying to get it to the point where a lot of games, like when they go and they're mostly all online, a lot of games, of course, that's how they do live service. That functionality that has been an unfortunate ugly head that we started to see way back when they first started saying, oh, you have to be online to play this game, and we were all up in arms about it then at the time, and for multiple good reasons, mind you, looking back on it now. But yeah, this is basically like whenever a game is about ready to go and be turned, the server's about to get shut down, the term sunsetting, which you might have heard the unfortunateness from Pirate Software and using that terminology. That means, guess what? Your game that you may have liked to play is no more, and you can no longer play it at all ever again. So this is kind of also trying to help mitigate that a little bit, to where there will be some possible life left in such said games that you might be able to, somehow, whatever, they will be able to try to figure out with the logistics afterwards. But first, we have to get through the hurdle of pushing this through to even, get a starting point for all this to happen, right, in the positive light. So this is the, we're at ground zero when it comes to starting all this thing. So hopefully I explained that well enough. I don't want to go on to it too much more. Like I said, I'll put all the links. You could read through all the things. I just wanted to put this out there to everybody's attention because it's been bothering me for a while. I've been following this pretty closely, and I usually do stuff with Immortal and everything else, and that one's been bothering me too. And I still want to switch over to Druid on a side note, but I've been afraid of having my gear being deleted and that kind of thing. Still, they haven't fixed any of that yet. It's horrible mess. I've been following those posts, and it's left me kind of like, well, I'm missing out because I want to jump on it and that kind of thing. But that's just a side note, and that's why I'm here with this right now. And also, like I said, this is very, very important, I think, to all of us in the gaming space, in the gaming, community across the board when it comes to all these things. So take part in it, please, those of you that can. I do think this is definitely a worthy cause. Obviously, all you have to do is just put your signature in and some other kind of information. Don't worry about it. Everything is it's legit. They have legit websites and everything's all locked. You can check that for yourself when you go in there to the links to sign the petitions that I'm gonna put in here. So it's fine. It's okay. But I implore you, of course, check. Make sure it is for yourselves. You know what to look for on your end. Okay? Everybody, that should be hopefully common knowledge at this point, and to be taken into, scrutiny, and rightfully so. So there you go. All right, moving on. This also ties into other things that happened recently, because this is basically a news update with gaming and what's all been going on. Like I said, a lot of this kind of came up the past couple of days, and also being the 4th of July here in the States, celebrating independence and all that from years past, and see how far we've come, whether it's good or bad. But anyway, the whole idea of trying to get our independence and have some kind of things to celebrate over, this would be one of them as far as gaming is concerned here, right? And that's why I wanted to kind of tie that into as well, and that's why it's been in the back of my mind all this week for a while now. So I just had to get it out. I had to get it out there, put it out there however way I can. Sorry, bright lights again. Here we go. Here's an example of another one. Now, some of you may have played Anthem. I did as well, very, very briefly, as probably a lot of us, because, it was basically, Iron Man. It was a good game for what it was for a short span of it. They could have continued to work on it, and they actually did have plans to try to do a remake of it and make it, better than what the initial one was, because it was kind of so. But then they ended up just dropping the project altogether, and that pretty much put the nail in the coffin on it. As you can see here, this will be shutting down. This will be shutting down in January of 2026. January 12th of 2026 to be exact. July 3rd, they already shut off premium in-game currency being able to be purchased. So that's already taken down. This is an example right here of what is going to be a sunset game. After January 12th, the servers for it will be shut down entirely. You will not be able to play this game in any iteration going forward. Then after the of January 12th of 2026, this one's will be completely gone. Now, granted, some of you might say, well, okay, we're not really missing much because a lot of us haven't touched it. I'm one of those as well. I haven't touched it in a long, long time, but I did enjoy playing it for a small, brief period of time. But just to think back to that time, like, yeah, it was enjoyable. It could have been something better. I wouldn't mind if it would have had like an offline mode, that kind of thing. Well, that's kind of more back to the Stop Killing Games project. that would lean more into that to make that a possibility. However, seeing how this is coming to an end very soon in the big picture of things, that probably won't happen, unfortunately, unless somebody somewhere else, some, maybe independent company or something of some nature might say, hey, yeah, we'll keep this going for a little bit longer, or we'll have it to where it's available. Somebody else would have to take over the reins for that. But of course, that probably won't happen, being an EA game. They probably won't let that happen unless, I don't know, something extremely significant might happen, but don't hold your breath to that. It's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. So that means this one will be completely gone, which is sad in a sense, because obviously there's been plenty of other games out there throughout the course of the past couple, years or so that we have seen come and go, and they're not being preserved. That's the key thing. That's the other thing, going back to the Stop Killing Games protocol, is like they're trying to preserve our games, and so that we can have them and actually say, yes, we own this, and we can still continue to own it after such things like this will occur. So I can't stress that enough. But anyway, but yeah, that's it for Anthem there. There's another article here. Close your eyes. This one's on a white screen. Warning, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. And then there's this, of course. And it's like people were surprised that the servers were still up. And yeah, it's unfortunate. It will be removed from EA Play Library on August 15th of this year. Oh, wait, no. Well, premium currency. Yeah, August 15th. Has been removed from digital stores as well. Now, if we already have it, of course, in our libraries, we can still download it and use it until. But again, January 12th, 2026 is the official cutoff, and then no more. So there's that one. Moving on, some more news here of things of relevance. I'm not going to try and pronounce this now. Just say Matt here steps down from ZeniMax Online Studios. They are for the Elder Scrolls Online game, which I had played in the past myself as well. Had a good time with that. It's an MMO for the most part, if you don't already know. What's the relevancy to this? Of course, this ties into, the gaming industry space with what happened with Microsoft tightening what is going on in there with the layoffs and such things. Yeah, they were initially also working on an in-development MMO project, codenamed Blackbird, but it has been canceled at ZeniMax Online Studios as part of the wave of layoffs that Microsoft is handing out. Yeah, again, Microsoft, as you can see down here, related articles even. Oh, this is January. This is back in January when they did the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Yeah, we know how that goes. Whenever companies merge, they always start cutting too many of the same overlapping jobs, and it's not really a good thing for anybody involved, honestly. I feel like Microsoft picked up kind of a sinking ship with Activision and Blizzard. They might have thought it was a good deal, and they spent a obscene amount of money to make that happen. But I feel like they might be regretting it now. However, they are also not doing a very good job themselves with Windows, as most of us know too in PC space. But anyway, but yeah, that one is another thing that just kind of has a spiraling effect here. And again, there could have been another MMO in the development, and they just get shut down. So it's just one thing after the other recently. Yeah, it's a shame, really, that Xbox mass layoffs a couple of days ago shot the gaming industry. Yeah, it's just one thing after the other, honestly, and we can see where certain things are getting kind of spiraled out of control here. This isn't as, it's still in the gaming space, so it is all kind of tied together. I've just seen this recently myself, and I'm like, oh man, I used to play Elder Scrolls Online and that kind of thing too myself, and all these things are starting to just pile up. Like in the past, these couple here with Anthem and ZeniMax, this is the past couple days. So I'm putting all this together. Whether you're still here along for this whole podcast news, I guess, was what I'll deem this here. Let me know what you think in the comments of everything down below. Obviously, we can share stories and all this kind of stuff as well down there too. Hey, I'm all for it. That's the whole point, communities and games and so on and so forth. And this is very pertinent gaming news across the board. These two surprised me. I wasn't expecting this, so I was like, well, I at least want to put a little bit of a side note with these at the end. But of course, the Stop Killing Games movement, petition signing, that is the biggest portion here that will tie everything together and the most important point out of everything. So please, get on that. Anybody that's capable of doing so, again, do all the research for yourselves if you haven't already. If you've already signed, hey, awesome, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'd love to do so myself, but unfortunately I am in the States and we are not in that unfortunate way of doing the petitions. We have other ways of trying to push, Congress and senators and that thing around here, but we've got other things going on right now too. They're just as bad. Well, actually, kind of worse in ways, but I mean, still, this one, if you're capable of doing so, it's best to get on there and, get it done any way possible, right? We can't just let certain things fall to the wayside, stay quiet, or sit on our hands when it comes to certain things. Sometimes, you have to act. And this is a means of doing so. So that is why I'm putting this to the forefront here, any way, shape, or form possible. Again, there's way more, bigger whales out there, so to speak, in the YouTube space, of course, that have much more of a larger, following to do so, to get this out to the masses. But I still, at least, like I said, wanted to put give my take on this as well, because this, again, is very near and dear to me, in the gaming community, in the gaming space, and that nature. So there you go. I rambled on long enough about all this. Let me know what you think, again, of course, in the comments down below with everything. I will hopefully, if you have any questions, ask them there too, of course. I'll try to put all the links to all of this that I've shown in this video in the description down below. The petition signings, I'll keep those. Make sure I'll put those probably grouped up first. And then I'll have all the other ones listed underneath of all these various Reddit sites and articles that I showed here in the video. So anyway, like I said, I'll get back to Immortal and some various other things that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, but this is just something that I had to get off my chest, so to speak, and get out there. And I really wanted to do this for a while, and it's been bothering me. So here you go. Take it for what you will. I appreciate all of you as always. So, and on that note, again, as always, everybody, stay safe out there in the real world on fire. Take care of yourselves as best you can, one day at a time. It's all we can do. Believe me. Until next time, see ya.